My name is Ricardo Pereyda. I'm an Army veteran. I served in the Military Police Corps from 2003 to 2006, active duty, and from 2006 to 2009 on a temporary disability retirement list, which is basically a medical board process that you go through in the military where they determine your fitness for service. And at the end of that period, that 3-year period, I was told that I was no longer mission essential, that apparently I was damaged goods, and that I was no longer able to be in the military, as in military police, which it really hit me hard. It was a family tradition, serving in the military police corps specifically. It was something that my cousin was presently doing. At the time that I was going through my medical board process, he was serving in Iraq. He had just got done serving in Afghanistan as well. Right after my tour in Iraq, he got redeployed from Afghanistan to Iraq to serve his second tour. And really, it hit me more so the fact that they were telling me that I was not able to do anything anymore. Basically that I just had to go home and take some drugs, and my life was now a series of VA appointments and a number of alarms set to my phone where I had to take my daily medications, and I had to go about my daily routine as if I was a patient in a hospital that was constantly being medicated to just be stabilized. It really wasn't any type of existence that I was used to. It was completely foreign to me to be in a situation where that was my life now. That's how I was living. That's the way that I was to be expected to carry out the rest of my days. And after a period of time of going through the VA gauntlet and going through a number of their group sessions, individual sessions, and all these different psychiatrist appointments that were really just resulting in me getting more prescriptions for more pills, I decided to stop the madness. I decided to educate myself on exactly what it was that I was taking. I wasn't taking their word for it anymore, that these pills were going to help me get better. I wasn't willing to trust them anymore that this was something that was going to see me through to better days. Because from my experience over a multitude of years now, at that point, it had done anything but get me to a better place. It had actually kept me down. And not only kept me down, it put me further down from where I was before. I lost my marriage, I lost my house, I lost my self-respect, I lost a lot. I lost friends, I lost family members because of how I was acting, and it's my fault. I'm not saying that this is the VA's fault. I'm just saying this is my experience that I had going through what they had available to me. The VFW Post in Sierra Vista, which was my first post, became a safe haven for me, but it was just a way for me to self-medicate away from the booze or the pills that I was taking. Among like-minded individuals in a smoke-filled room, downing bottles of beer, downing cocktails, downing hard shots of liquor to suppress what it was that I was feeling. Those emotions and everything that were stirring within me and that were going home with me at night. Worse off, because now I was in touch with those things and I didn't care whether or not I unleashed them or shared them with others, especially my spouse, or some random individual who happened to be present and looked at me wrong. And I just wanted to show them exactly how hurt I was, oftentimes physically. It was an untenable situation. This is something that I had to learn the difficult way. I had to learn through a series of trial and error. And when I ultimately made the decision that I was going to put those pills down, I started to discuss what was working with my fellow veterans that I was going into the group with. These individuals that I had been so intimate with, that I had shared such intimate pieces of my history with, of my combat deployment, stuff that I haven't told a lot of people, gritty things that a lot of people aren't prepared to handle because it unveils a truth about the human condition that will forever alter your perception of those around you and the situation that we are all in. So they relayed to me that what has really worked for them was cannabis. It's helped them sleep, it's relieved their anxiety, it's made their ability to communicate with others a possibility. Because before it wasn't a possibility, it was just rage that I'm feeding you, right? It's just something that I have to get off my shoulder and you're gonna take. All of a sudden, after a couple of hits of cannabis, they were telling me that they were in a completely different mindset, and what had seemed to bother them so much before they had taken it was forgotten, and all they were left with was the present and the individual right in front of them, who oftentimes, again, is their spouse, their child, a loved one of some form or another, a friend, somebody, a co-worker, somebody that you have to communicate with on a regular basis. They were telling me that it was helping them work better at school because they were able to focus more. At the University of Arizona, of which I am an alumni. I didn't graduate, I ran out of GI Bill, but I attended the university for 3 years, and I was an integral part of the veterans program on campus. I ran the veterans chapter of the Student Veterans of America there, where I represented over 1,000 veterans on campus, to both administrators on campus, political figures off campus, political figures within the state of Arizona, and the national community. From Admiral Mullen and all kinds of very important people who came and graced us with their presence at the University of Arizona to learn what we were doing for veterans in their transition into academia. How we were assisting them getting to the graduation point, of which I just acknowledged that I haven't reached yet. But I'm not finished, I'm still here, I'm speaking with you right now, and as far as I'm concerned, this is a part of my sabbatical. This is a part of something that I have to accomplish in order to further myself professionally and personally. So I'm here sharing a message with y'all, basically preaching to the choir, or not, because there's people who are going to watch this on the internets, who are going to see it in the United Kingdom, who are going to see it all over the country, the United States, who are going to watch it in Germany, Ireland, Spain. This isn't just this room that we're communicating with right here. It's to individuals like Mr. Montgomery, Mrs. Polk, who are spreading disinformation, who are trying to get people to fight one another with ignorance. Ignorance fighting ignorance begets ignorance. You have to fight with the truth. You have to come correct or don't come at all, because if you're coming ignorant, you're going to get shut down with facts, and it's going to hurt. It's going to get awkward. And so when I decided to take my brother's word for it, my sister's word for it, that this herb was helping them, that this was something that was allowing them, enabling them to live a more productive life, I decided, what the hell? I've got nothing to lose at this point. I've already been down the medicine cabinet. I've already tried everything out there. I literally have nothing to lose at this point. So I gave it a shot. And I haven't taken a pill prescribed for more than a week since. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And I'm not alone. Obviously, somebody told me about it. So there's been people who have been experimenting with this herb for a while now. Mr. Ream, who just spoke here, can tell you about his experience going back to the 60s.
49 years ago.
Yeah, 49 years. He's still breathing. He looks fit as a fiddle. You know? The knowledge that we're spreading here today, the conversation that we're having today, is going to reach somebody's ears who needs it. It's going to hit somebody who is at that critical moment where they have to reach a decision. They have to make a decision because it's life or death otherwise. And you're kidding yourself if you don't think that it is a decision that leads to a life or death result. Our overdose crisis, our epidemic that we're facing, the heroin crisis, which is a result of the opiates that are being prescribed to our brothers and sisters in amounts that are ungodly, inhumane. You're putting people into a prescribed coma, and you're telling us it is something that we have to accept with open arms, and then thank you for it. Go back for more. Let you know how appreciative we are that you are taking care of us. In order for us to still receive health care, in order for us to still be able to have a conversation with our physicians, in order for us to still be acceptable in the eyes of our government, so that they will take care of us and fulfill their obligation, which is contractual, that they made as soon as we raised our hands, took the oath, and signed that paperwork that said our ass belonged to Uncle Sam. Government issue. I couldn't go out and neglect to put sunscreen on and get a sunburn without getting an Article 15 for destruction of government property when I was in the military. A sunscreen violation leading to an Article 15 which can prohibit me and keep me from getting promoted. Out here in civilian life as a veteran, an honored and trusted member of our community, I can't refuse opiates and other hard prescription narcotics without being persecuted and put on a watch list or being refused treatment or other medications that I need in order to live my life. There's an absolute disconnect between what is acceptable, what's reality, and what is being absolutely prescribed here. And it's a bunch of bullshit being prescribed by our government. And it's been perpetrated for far too long. We've allowed it to happen. We've allowed it to continue. Because we don't vote against it. We don't come up and say this is enough. And as the veteran community, it is our obligation to come up against these domestic enemies that we have. Mr. Montgomery, you are the enemy in this situation,
Amen.
sir. These individuals are perpetuating falsehoods that are having very real negative consequences on our brothers and sisters every single day. Right now, as we're sitting here, as we're having this conversation, there's people getting arrested all across this country who are facing life-altering events. These individuals are facing felonies, which is basically the scarlet letter of our times. They're losing their abilities to vote. They're losing their abilities to carry their firearms, which all these people who are voting no, a majority of them are saying that they're not going to vote for something that's going to take their gun rights away. They're already taken. You are already slaves. And if you look and read that the 13th Amendment, you're going to see that very clearly, because once you get convicted of something by your peers, under a duly written law, with the processes that we have before us, you are a legitimate slave in the government's eyes. And when you get out, that's why you can't vote. That's why you can't have your registration. That's why you have to freaking put that shit, every application that you have for employment, for other benefits and whatnot, for housing. And if you put down that you're a felon, good luck. And I tell you, the only thing that's probably worse than being a felon is being a dishonorably discharged service member. Because not only do you have the scarlet letter of being, dishonorably discharged from such an honorable and prestigious organization, now you are ranked up there with the felons who can't get jobs, who can't get benefits, who can't get housing loans, have to jump through all these hoops and hurdles that the rest of the so-called legitimate, law-abiding citizens don't have to go through. That's a whole section of our society that is automatically disenfranchised. Veterans among them. We have veterans that are getting deported for drug crimes. Veterans. A veteran is somebody who served our country, wrote a blank check, due upon delivery, up to and including your life, for something we deem important. You have to go over there and potentially die. You know, we have people that are going and doing that, saying, okay, we agree, we love what we have, the freedoms that we have in this country so dearly, we're willing to put ourselves on the line to go defend those. They're coming back, they're getting caught up with the drug charge for marijuana and getting deported. That's not thanking somebody for their service. That's not honoring somebody's service. That's spitting in their face, kicking them in the balls, and chucking them across the line, and then shutting the fence after they're gone. That's disgusting. So what we have here for safer communities and money for schools, I mean, that's what we fought for, safe communities, to protect our way of life. The drug board doesn't provide that. It pits neighbor against neighbor. That's real talk. Call 188 crime. But what is being shared by Mr. Montgomery, Sheila Cole, the other individuals who are voting against this very important proposition, is that this isn't going to make our community safer. This isn't going to provide more funds for our schools. It's going to do the opposite. They basically want to protect the status quo that is damaging our communities, that sees Arizona as one of the lowest ranked schools in the nation, school districts, school programs. We're not doing right by our children, by our veterans, by our communities. You know, they're not even willing to accept that they've been putting out disinformation when they're called on it by representatives from Colorado who say our schools are receiving money. The ones that aren't are opting out of it, you know, and it's written into this bill. It's another thing that people are really up in arms about, that the city councils and everybody can restrict your right to grow and can restrict the implementation of the legality of cannabis within certain districts and counties and so on and so forth. Well, yeah. And if you're not paying attention to who it is that you're voting into office, and if you're not going to your city council meetings and holding these individuals accountable and expressing how it is that you feel on this issue, the support that you have for it, and voicing your personal position so that these individuals then, on record, are held accountable for their decisions later. Yeah, you're probably going to get some individuals in there who don't care what it is that you think and are willing to just override the will of the people because they got it like that. And that's true power. That's the way Arizona officials operate every day. That's the way Bill Montgomery operates. That's the way Sheriff Joe Arpaio operates. Sheila Cole, these other individuals who use their absolute authority to the detriment of the citizens that they're charged to protect and represent. They're keeping their thumb on you. They don't want you to know that this is something that is actually beneficial for you. And they're doing everything they can to keep you from recognizing that. That's why they're desperate. Desperate people resort to these tactics. They resort to disinformation, they resort to misinformation, they resort to outright aggression. I mean, that's something it's textbook. Go and look it up. You could look these things up. I mean, Philosophy 120 here at the Pima Community College. They teach this stuff, logic, how to spot when people are presenting an illogical claim, when they're outright lying, when they're trying to cover up for things that they're really putting out there. All it takes is a little bit of effort on your part to ask a question at an inopportune time for the other party, because then they're going to get called on the disinformation that they're putting out there, right? Or you could just do a little research. Don't tell anybody. It's none of their business anyway. Do a little research for yourself, find out what you can, and then make up your own mind. Because I guarantee you that after 15 minutes of looking up articles on the internet, peer-reviewed journals, looking into scientific research and data that has been collected for decades, you're going to start to feel pretty angry, actually. You're going to feel frustrated. You're going to feel like you've had